Morning, officer.
Maybe this is the pot calling the kettle black. This guy thinks he's a genius and he's a moron.
Good news, everyone.
Y2K! Y2K! Oh no! Think of like the dumbest cave troll that you know.
You looked right at me when you said that.
You're not the dumbest.
Here are the facts as I see them.
Hey everybody, welcome. Bandit Radio Hour. My therapy, my mother's hope, my father's disappointment.
And my aggravation.
Yeah, that too. But anyways, guys, welcome. It's been a minute. We have been busy as hell. I think we say this every episode. Adulting is hard. Like we were planning on, like, we're not going to do it every week. We're going to do it every 2 weeks. And it's more like every 3 or 4. Me dealing with ranch stuff. Merce dealing with worse stuff.
Public service announcement. If you ever think of going to law school, just don't. It's terrible.
Oh, yeah.
It is miserable.
We're gonna dig into that for a second, because something like I've always thought about with law school, and I've always heard like about this. I never want to do it because I've looked at law technical language and I'm like, this is horseshit, hocus pocus. Like, this is not real life.
You do is read.
But something I was always like, well, a good thing about it is, like, don't they grade on a curve? So it's like you don't have to be perfect. You just have to do almost as good as the best person in your class, who, if they're an idiot, like, great. But what's the scenario you had going on?
Oh, a kid, for the first time in my professor's, 15 years teaching there, got a perfect score on one of the exams. So there is no curve.
Yeah.
She's like... And then the average of everybody else was like the highest that she's ever had. So I'm just like in a class with also equally, like, I did well too, but like, yeah, there is no.
You got it. So you are now the Beverly Hillbilly of class.
Oh, did I tell you about the possum?
That's what I want you to tell me about now.
Okay.
So hang on.
Yeah.
So how many people are in this class?
There's probably like 50 in my section, and then we
Right.
basically go to like all our classes together. It's the same, like 50 kids, like in each class is how they kind of arrange.
2 follow-up questions. Are any of them from the South? Are any of them from a rural area?
I would say some are from the South, some are like from Miami and stuff. I don't think
That's
any...
not the South.
Yeah, well, south of me, but I don't think any are from, some are from Florida and different things, but I don't think any are from like a rural area.
Like
no.
suburbs is as rural as they get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a park is mind-blowing.
Is nature.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyways, so I guess I make like random comments, or I'm a little hickish about, different things,
You do a knee slap and a hook every now and then?
Yeah. Well, they asked, like, going around, like, career, like, what you did before school. And, I'm like, I was a crop duster. Like, what's that? It's like, I sprayed corn with an airplanes.
Cattle worker.
Yeah.
Ditch digger.
Yeah. Like, we're like, what do you do on the weekends? Like, I go back home to Arcadia. They're like, where's that? And I was like, it's just cows and orange trees. And it used to be orange trees. And so anyways, I guess my comments were ever here and there. And I'm sitting there in class, and we get done with the class and get ready to leave, and this one kid I'm kind of friends with, he comes walking up to me out of nowhere. He's like, hey, man, you know how to get rid of a possum?
Hang on, did he say it like that, or are you adding the accent to it?
I guess I'm adding my accent to it, but he's like, hey, man, do you know how to get rid of a possum? And I was like, well, yeah. And he's like, okay. He's like, we got this possum in my garage. And he's like, and I knew my buddy said...
And hang on, I know what your brain did, because there's like just knowing you're like, I need to fully answer his question on how to get rid of this possum problem that he has. Like, your brain, like
oh, I did. I gave him like a multiple case scenario, and I was like, is it like in a garage? You guys like have a bunch of neighbors' cats or anything? And he's like, well, yeah, kind of. It's like where you can like. I was like, okay. I was like, what you need to do is you need to go get radiator fluid and a Coca-Cola. And he's like,
Coca-Cola.
And he's like, what? I was like, yeah, because you just put out a saucer pan of radiator fluid, and you put the Coca-Cola in it to make it extra sweet. And when the possum will come and drink the radiator fluid, it'll kill the hell out of that possum. And I just go on this like tirade about
here's the most efficient ways to get a possum out of your hair.
Good for you. And he's like, okay. He's like, well, I told my buddy, I was like, I got this kid that kind of farms that he'd know how to get rid of it, and he leaves. And then it's like I'm later sitting down reading it, like I rehash the conversation back in my head. I'm like, son of a bitch. The kid has a possum problem, and his first thought is, I know what redneck some gun is going to know how to get rid of this possum. And then what pissed me off even more is that I knew exactly how to get rid of the possum with the most redneck white trash way possible.
You fulfilled the stereotype to a T. It's like, not only am I going to tell you one way to kill a possum, here is a multiple case battle plan scenario for if you're engaging multiple possums in multiple scenarios.
Yeah. But side note, don't like just PSA or like warning, don't just go put out like, because it'll kill dogs, cats, neighbors, like it'll kill everything. Don't just like leave it. It'll kill children. Don't put out radiator fluid, people.
Speaking of radiator fluid,
it was a one case scenario where it was like locked in the garage. So like,
dude, holy hell! By the way, hang on. Public service announcement from the Bandit. There's going to be a slight change of programming. I say slight because I'm probably not going to totally follow through on this. I'm trying to quit cussing, or at least greatly reduce it.
Shit.
Yeah, I know. I'd love to. I'm still cussing, but like my 9-year-old daughter has like started calling me out on it, and don't get me wrong. I knew I'd call my dad out on like the little cusses he'd let slip there and here and there, but
he was a baseball coach. They weren't little slips.
Dude, even whenever we won games, he would talk to us longer than the team that lost. Like, boy, here's how you messed up. But anyways, like she's like, and I don't cuss in front of her. I can turn that part of my brain off. But it's like when she's in the next room and I don't know it and I'm talking to somebody on the phone or something like that. And I walk out, she said, "You said the F word like 5 times." And I'm like, you're probably right. I need to cut that out. Damn it. So yeah, I'm trying to back that off.
So
sorry,
I say we get just a community like swear jar. I mean, I'm not going to pay into it, but if you're trying to quit,
I need the electric chip from South Park that can hear you cussing and like shocks you every time it does it.
Well, I think Elon Musk is coming out with the brain
Neuralink.
implant
There we
thing,
go. I'll be first in line for cussing. Sure, Elon Musk. I'll give you the keys to my existence in my head.
You just short circuit like all modern technology.
If you're the biggest Elon Musk fanboy, like who's on board with letting them put a microchip in your brain?
Under no situation would I ever think that's a good idea.
No, I'm even if you got a calculator in your head and you can do all this, like what's stopping you from hacking it?
Like say if you had like a severe like mental issue, like
sure.
Parkinson's or something, and they're like it could help. At that point, then yes, I'm willing to take the risk.
If it will dramatically change like your life.
At no point am I like, hey, yeah, it can just make me like it can help. Like no.
Why can't you have sunglasses? Or like glasses that are like have that same microchip that can do all that.
Well, they have like the Google Glass.
Yeah, I've seen like, but it's like all right, if they can make that for the brain, just make it where that stuff pops up in a HUD display and turn me into a video game. That'd be cool. Like having Master Chief's view of everything on your sunglasses.
Display.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you. Couldn't think of it correctly. But no, dude. So the last weeks, let me think. What all has happened? I'll start with last night. Actually, I don't. Merce is my witness. Do I really party anymore? Hey, like I used to.
No.
Not many people are capable.
There was a time where trucks have been rolled, things have been destroyed, ankles have been snapped.
I was a mess. I was a fun mess. I was a mess.
We were all wild.
I got drug out of parties. Literally drug Merce behind a cooler when he rolled his ankle.
Rolled a truck across the pasture,
doing donuts with a beer in hand. Like, oh, we were a sight to behold. I don't really do that a whole lot anymore. I got kids. My alcohol tolerance is below sea level nowadays.
So is New Orleans, but
their alcohol tolerance is high, but physically, yes, they are below sea level. But I went out, like I got invited to a party last night, and I'm like, I'll go out. It's been a long time. It's in my extended family's neck of the woods. In case anything goes wrong, I can, get out of there, get to a safe place. Because, all right, getting invited to a party you don't know. I don't know about you, Merce. I've been through like 2 different extremes of the scenarios. There's on one end, there's the one where I show up in kind of like my nicer jeans and my nicer button-up shirt. And I get there and everyone's like much more formal than I am. And I'm like, oh, I kind of look like a hick kind of walking in here. And it's, this more upper scale than I'm used to. Then there's the other end where you show up dressed like that, just a nice pearl snap in your jeans, and it's like, oh, everybody here's smoking meth in a trailer. Like, it's, I
have all my teeth. I am king.
Yeah, I am overdressed for this scenario. But I'm not rude. I will finish my beer before I leave. Like, that seems to, so like, last night, I got invited to a party. I'm going to go out. And all right, I get told to wear like a Canadian tuxedo so I can look like a cowboy, like denim jeans and denim shirt, whatever. And I get there in the costume that's been selected for me. I gotta admit, it was too good. It still ended up being a cowboy, but it wasn't the denim. It was literally like a cow onesie, then you can see it on Twitter.
And you're a boy, so
yeah, I'm a cowboy, and went to it. It was anyways, I got really drunk and I'm hungover now. So, but one thing I wanted to say about it, something I don't like about alcohol, which it's a key factor in
the
it.
hangover?
Well, of course, but like a more key factor in it is it makes you overconfident without thinking about it, which of course, that's the basic of alcohol. But there's a lot of Cubans and Venezuelans at this party. Awesome people to party with. Had a fun time. But, they're like, I say something about, conversation comes up. I say something about grew up on a ranch, same old, worked with Mexicans, know a little bit of Spanish. And right when I said I know a little bit of Spanish, I'm like, you don't know shit. Like,
I've heard you say, you can say sentences.
No. To white people, I know Spanish.
Oh.
I can ranch things. I can Espanol it out.
Yeah, I would say that. I would still say that's I would say that's a little bit of Spanish.
But when you're drunk and playing Jenga with 5 Venezuelans and Cubans and shit, and I'm like, I know a little bit of Spanish. They're like, oh, tu habla español. Brrr. I'm like, I know how to say arriba, which is higher. I know how to say abajo, which is lower, and I know how to say cerca de linea, which is the fence. That's my realm of it. Not this whole donde está the library. I can never remember that. But so yeah, it's selective. So
Libraria.
No, it's not Libraria. Boligrafo is book. Anyways, moving past that. Got overconfident, said I knew Spanish, then as soon as I said it, I was like, I don't know shit about Spanish compared to what these folks do. But had a damn good time. Now, the past couple of weeks, you speaking of radiator fluid, so I
Biblioteca.
Yeah, that's it. Man, I was Boligrafo, I was close. But, so growing up, I was kind of blessed and cursed to in a lot of different ways to grow up on this huge ranch, mostly blessed. But in one of the ways that kind of cursed, when it came to typical ranching stuff, like mechanicking and working on equipment and figuring out how it works, we had a shop to take that to. Take it to the shop, drop it off, don't look at it till it's fixed by somebody else. And it might have been right before or right after the last show. I can't remember if we talked about it before. But I was trying to be a good steward of my tractor. I was doing the regular maintenance on it before I mowed. I pulled a screen out to blow it out and get all the stuff out. Went to put the screen back in. Smashed a hole in my radiator. Just whoopsie-daisied. Since then, I've spent probably about 2 full days uninstalling, getting the radiator fixed, reinstalling it, driving and mowing, having another hole pop up in the radiator, taking it out, getting it fixed, reinstalling it. I just gotta say on that end, it is nice to learn some mechanical stuff, but I was cussing and spitting the whole time I did it.
It's like growing up like this. Dad did all most of our stuff, or I've helped him, or I was the one always getting yelled at, the memes of
hold the flashlight.
Oh my lord! But yeah, it's somebody was like, how do you learn how to do all this stuff? It's like, oh, because we're poor.
Yeah, really, I do. We had nobody else, and now I'm finally at 33. I'm I'm the poor one.
Yeah,
I have to do this.
And thank the Lord for now. There's at least YouTube videos or forums where other people you can kind of fumble your way through stuff. Let
me not take too much credit. It's not like I sat there and did it all 100% by myself and figured it out. We did it the old-fashioned way. I called the guy I talked about with a pocket that doesn't carry a pocket knife on a ranch, and I was like, "Can you help me out with this radiator?" He's like, "I'll be right there." And I'm like, "You're 65 with nothing to do on a Tuesday and coming over to help? Thank you. You're awesome." Me and James got it out, but we got interrupted by that. The one cool, interesting thing we were really ranch related in the past couple of weeks we did was we got all of our cattle worked. and we got all the cows worked, all their calves worked, got them organized, which ended up being like over 400.
We gotta do ours in like the next month.
Yep, it's October. It is October, right? Yeah, I mean, you want to do it right, like in Florida, the at a bare minimum, right after it's done being super hot, and right before it's super hot, or actually spring. You're getting hot when you do it.
We usually try to. It's between like now and Thanksgiving is usually about when we get ours worked, and then it's again usually about like beginning of May.
And y'all got to understand, for those that don't, it ain't nothing but Arcadians listening to this. When we say work the cows, we mean get them all out of the pasture, bring them all to the pens, give them all the different medicines they need for surviving Florida. Because if you don't do this to the cows, they end up pretty shitty and pretty miserable. So, like, that's what we got to do.
Fly spray, ear tags.
But it's like, on the big ranch I used to work on, we always had like a standard cow crew. And now it's like up to me and my mom, like calling different. Merce was a part of it for a little bit. Like, we need help, please. We'll pay you money. Just give us.
For us trying to find a weekend to get different cowboys that can come help.
Mm-hmm. And but we got it done. And one of the cowboys we had come help. We knew he was good with working with horses, and he does a lot of independent work. But his name's James. Now I gotta give you an idea of James. James is about 6'3". 210 pounds, easy. Like, big boy, like tall, broad.
Right.
I asked him what got him into the cattle working business, and in his words, I'm gonna try to say it in like his voice. Well, my daddy put me on a horse when I was 6 months old, and I never looked back.
I would say most people don't become a cowboy by choice. I would say you're either born into it, or you're put in a situation financially, or your own life choices. It's your only choice.
I'll tell you what's cool though. Like, there was, when I worked for the State Department, there was one guy I worked with who was like born in the suburbs of Tampa, and he was like rodeo, and he will, but like not like fancy. He's like I make my own ropes, I make my own headstalls, I make
that's badass. I think that's rare.
Yeah, and he's like, I want this life. Like, my goal is to get like 300 acres I could put cows on and get out of the suburbs. I'm like, you are like more awesome than most of these cowboys that grew up doing this, because you're starting off ignorant and jumping knee deep into it.
Right.
But no, so James, the one detail I've left out about James is black as night. He is a huge black boy. And here's why that's so important. Because I went to his house the other day he's also done some like private work for us. And he introduced me to his cat that's named Spook. And I'm like, that's awesome. It's a black and white cat.
Scaredy cat?
Yeah, sure. Let's go with that. It's October theme. But getting into it, I'm working with another boy that knows James, and I'm like, have you ever met James? He goes, oh, I know of him. I'm from Lake Placid. And I go, oh, what about him? He goes, well, I know he was in high school a couple years ago. You remember when all the rebel flag stuff was like going on, like them getting angry in parks and stuff? And I'm like, yeah. He goes, well, I know that James wore like a rebel flag cowboy hat, rebel flag denim jacket, rebel flag pants, and rebel flag boots to school just to screw with everybody. And I was like, if it was like, and of course I'm Southern, so I've got my biases, people, but just put that in any other situation. I love the person that does that. Like,
yeah. Well, that just shows they're a free thinker. They got their own opinion, and
it's like the guys. Like, another example of that, slightly different, was like during the international soccer matches, like down in Dubai, when the English people wore like the Crusader shirts underneath their cloaks. And I was like, y'all got balls, man.
Speaking of Crusades,
hang on. Well, we'll get to that. We'll get to that evergreen.
I mean, God wills it.
Just depending on who you ask and which God, sure.
I think the whole problems of the world, it's the same God. It's the interpretations of said God that everybody's mad about.
All right, hang on. All right, we're getting off on a side rant for a second. I'll end it like this. Thank God that black cowboy came out and helped us, because James is a badass and like can throw around 400-pound calves like they're nothing, and my back's hurt. And thank you, James. You awesome. But
well, that's all through history. There was like, I think it's like, what, 1/4 of all the cowboys out west and stuff were supposedly black?
Yeah, they were like, if you got freed as a slave, like it was like, I can go into cattle out west. And dude, in Texas, hang on, let me tell you something. Black people in Texas, like people everywhere, not everyone you meet, but like for the most part, I loved the attitude of like, yeah, we're black. We do the black rodeo, which is blacks only, and we'll work circle around you white cowboys. Y'all ain't got nothing on us. We can work from before the sun comes up till before the sun goes down, outdo you. And I'm like, That is the most awesome racist attitude to have.
I kind of want to see a black rodeo.
Dude, I never went to it, but like talking to people in Kearns, Texas, like the local black folks, I mean, they're like farmers that hold open the door
Why am I
for
picturing
you.
like a dude riding a bull to DMX? Like,
Dude, all right, there was one black chick I went to college with over there. Her name was Destiny, and she was all in it. And like, it's something I genuinely like. And it is like all of her Facebook pictures and stuff like that. Like, I still keep up with her. Is like, here's me on my horse with the headstall I made with the, my perfect set. So it's like that rodeo kind of attitude, but also with a dash of we was kings, like just a little. And I'm like, that's awesome. I love that version of it. Of like, look how badass we are. And I'm like, that's perfectly awesome to have.
oh yeah.
But Crusades, okay. All right. This was something I was thinking of the other day.
While they're distracted,
but
we take back the Holy Land.
I saw the meme the other day. It's like, gun to your head. Who does the land belong to, Israel or Palestine? And it shows Superman. What's his name?
Clark Kent?
Not Clark Kent, but the actor.
Dang it.
Handsome fella. But he goes, Rome. It's always been Rome's. But like, on the Crusades, I was thinking about this. It's like, I've read chunks of the Quran, and unlike the Bible, the Bible's got a pretty hard line on like Old Testament. God tells you to kill whole villages. New Testament, don't do that. Like Jesus, except for pedophiles, I think. Outside of that, Jesus is like, be nice to everybody.
Not completely.
Not be nice to everybody.
Yeah, that's where a lot of the problem where Jesus kind of gets painted as a hippie, where he's really not. He says, and Jesus actually says when he comes back, he's coming with a sword.
Yeah.
But it's you're supposed to be more understanding and try to help them, try to turn them back around, not just love them just as is. It's to love them, to point them in the right direction.
Well, like one of the cool things I heard was like, how many people did Jesus walk away from in the Bible? And it's like 20 or something like that, where he's just like, oh, you don't want my help? See ya. Yeah. Like, you don't have to, bye. And like saying that.
But he also took a whip to tax collectors.
Oh, that's my favorite part.
Yeah.
That is my, you're mixing business with my religion?
Yeah.
Nah, I'm losing my mind. Which, I gotta say.
Taxation.
All right, we're getting into some religious talk today. I didn't even really plan on it. Like,
well, it is Sunday.
When I go to a church and I see a music video, like a gospel music video, dude, I start like, not like foaming at the mouth or getting red, but like all my autism starts kicking in of like, all right, this music video, someone paid these actors to stand there and make these expressions. Someone hired a cameraman, someone hired a producer, someone hired an editor, someone hired a marketer to market this to different churches. Where's all this money going? Who's paying this money? Why are you mixing money in with the God? And like, do anything I see like that just
I don't see that. I see it like if it's going into an excess, because on one hand you got to be like, they're doing it to promote the religion, which is to get it out there. But it's when you start making an excess, because the Bible's pretty clear that rich men don't get into heaven and all this stuff. You're supposed to get it back.
And I'll tell you this.
So like I said, you've got to make money to keep it going and to be able to get it out there and circulate to spread the message. But when you're making millions and then it's just going in your pocket, that's where I draw the line.
Here's even my thing. I think, hey. I'm a man who loves some profit. Don't get me wrong. Like, if you're doing it in the name of secularism or in the name of, like, I want money.
I'm going to have a hard time getting through the eye of that needle.
Yeah. But, dude, like, I've heard preachers try to spin that story. If y'all don't know what we're talking about, Jesus says something along the lines of, a rich man has as much of a chance to get into heaven.
It's easier for a rich man to pass through the eye of
a camel.
Or a camel to pass through an eye of a needle than a rich man to get into heaven.
I have heard preachers, Methodist preachers, sit there and try to spin that. Oh no, the eye of a needle is actually this gateway at a certain place in Jerusalem, and they're talking about it's okay to get rich. And I was like, you are perverting this in such a horrible way. There's so much of that, and I think
it's just because it shows that you end up worshiping money.
Yeah, and here's my thing on like, if you want to pour your heart and soul into a Christian production to promote the religion, I'm not against that. But like, people used to do this for free, and they would get skinned alive if they got
Yeah.
caught doing it. Like,
Well, it's
and
like,
you're like,
when you start looking at like all the mega churches and their jets and the
well, even like, so the mega churches is what you see, but what you don't see is all the literal corporations tied to them that depend on these churches buying their product. Like, they are geared towards it.
I know,
Book
but, like,
companies.
from a capitalist perspective, though. What a brilliant.
Absolutely. Like, yeah. Like, as a scam, 10 out of 10. Like, what a great scam. Because I believe a lot of these people are much more secular than they are religious, even if they say different. Because
They're in the game of trying to sell salvation.
yeah. And I even
rather than lead to salvation.
That's why, like, the church I go to now, there is no music videos. There is no smoke screens or rock bands or laser shit. It is a dude, a book, and at most, what they spend money on is lights, air conditioning, and gospel books.
That's the church right there by the downtown.
Yes, yeah,
that's where I went to Bible school as a little kid.
And like, dude, I'll say like,
it's cool because you kind of go like down. There's a down under stairs, like under the ground.
yeah, and there's a balcony upstairs,
Yeah.
like the black churches you see in movies. Like that, I've always been too scared.
Or like when somebody's trying to break up a wedding.
yeah, there's always a balcony. But so like, I have always, y'all have heard me on this show. I've always had criticisms of churches. And like, I can stand right there with an atheist that's like a religious hater and go toe to toe with not toe to toe, but I can like agree with them on like 99% of the stuff they say that's wrong with churches.
Well, like, religion's like the biggest problem with religion.
Yeah. What did Gandhi say? Supposedly, I don't know if this is true, but read it on Facebook, so it has to be. Somebody asked him like, "Why aren't you a Christian?" And he said, "I'd absolutely be a Christian if it wasn't for Christians."
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's and like I said, I always go back to like the martyrs who were like, "Oh, you're burning my family and I alive. I forgive you and I love you, Roman state." I'm like, well, there's two possibilities if there's a God and Christ is real. Either those people were crazy to do that, or they were right.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's my single hardest part on calling myself a Christian. Is like, you trying to hurt my daughter or my son. It's like, this goes out the window. I turn into Joel from The Last of Us and just start popping doctors. Sorry, played that game recently and it's got a good ending. But saying that, like going to church, I've mostly gone to church in the past 9 years for two reasons. Like to make my mom happy and to give my kids like a good foundation of, and all my criticisms of church, I've let stay quiet in my head and not. But I've been thinking, no, like, there's a boomer saying I've brought up before. When you're doing the right thing, normally the right thing is the harder of two choices to make. Like it's the choice you really don't want to make out of the two bad choices. I think there's something to just, no matter the religion, getting up and going to a building and praying to something like bigger than yourself for an hour. I don't know if it's universal harmony. I don't know what, like, pick your religion and what you want to call it. I think there's something really special to that.
There is the reason I don't like church. I shouldn't say it that way. I like church. I like the sermon. Like when I'm in there, I don't like crowds.
Me neither.
I hate walking in and having to like, "Hi, how are you?"
Hate it.
Like I can't stand that. It makes me extremely uncomfortable. Hi, turn and talk to your neighbor. Oh, I would rather get hit by a truck.
Oh, the church changes this wave.
Yeah, but it's like because that's like it's like double because that's like extremely like draining to me.
Yeah,
like
you need a nap after church.
Like it's like, but then like I'm so glad I saw the sermon and like too. So I kind of enjoy like either listening like on TV or truthfully like my best like times are like when I'm out in the pastures when I talk to God and do different things. Like it's just out in nature, creation. Like I feel closer there than. Or if, like I said, if I could just teleport into the sermon and then teleport directly back out of it, it'd be perfect. But and like everybody's so nice. It's not like I'm saying like they're being hypocritical or because there's that in the church. It's just that's just not my personality. I just don't touch me, don't talk to me.
Well, I'll say this: like I don't like I'm an introvert too, except for the fact I have a stupid ass podcast, stupid butt podcast, working on the cussing, but. something like on a side note, I was really surprised with. Going into church here, like the past couple of weeks that I've gone, I don't know, it's helped me out in a way that church normally hasn't in quite a while. It's made me think about things differently. But I want to get back to the rabbit hole that got us on this, the Crusades. Reading like the chunks of the Quran I have, and I know it's separated into like 4 pillars, like we have Old Testament, New Testament, and the Bible. I might be butchering the Quran a little bit, sorry Muslim listeners. But it's like there's 4 like main big parts of it. And it's all kind of intermixed with like forgive people or sometimes kill them. Like it's like depends on the.
I don't understand it. The little bit I've pieced together, I think it is supposed to be like the religion of peace, but at the same time, if they do something in the name, like they're absolved from sin if they do it in the name of Allah or for Allah. Is how I don't know.
Well, it kind of. I think it's very situational.
It's kind of like Christianity. God wills it. Like it's
well, and like you know, some people I've heard Muslims that like I'm talking about back in like the 1400s or when like the golden age of Islam, when they're like where we get our Arabic numbers from. That they're like there's really big scholars in Islam that are like, we know we've interpreted this like to kill everyone that doesn't believe.
Before like the Arabian horse got really weird looking.
Yeah, at least according to the drawings. But he's like, you know, but maybe like we should just try to convert people through debate instead of like trying to kill them. And so like they also have a history kind of like Christianity does of like what's the right way to go about this. Just depends which time era you're talking about. But something I can't, so I can understand them from certain parts of their philosophy going, we gotta come in here and take the Holy Land where Muhammad lived and kill everyone that doesn't believe. Like it's not right. I can wrap my head around it if they look at their book.
Muhammad lived was also in Jerusalem?
I don't know.
I know something he wrote him like in a cave in a mountain somewhere, I think is what it was.
I know they make
I don't know enough about it to really speak a whole lot on it.
I know they're supposed to make the pilgrimage to Mecca once a year, I believe. Where the hell's Mecca? That's not Israel.
Yeah,
I think it's like Saudi Arabia. Where they pray to like that's the circle you've seen where they're all walking around a big like it's like a big box that has dark curtains over it.
Yeah.
And you'll see like 100,000 people walking in a circle around it. I think that's like a meteorite that they say God sent down from heaven or something. Anyways,
it's where Sodom and Gomorrah was.
Yeah, but they have significance. But like, so I get their reasoning for the Crusades. I don't get how you read Jesus and you go,
it's Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, I don't get how like you read Jesus' words and go, we got to go down there and kill a lot of people that don't believe this. Now, there's a part of me that gets it if like you read the ancient Assyrians and like what they did to people, and it's like, oh, in the name of God, we've got to go down there and stop this horrible stuff and make it better for them. But reading Jesus, that one's a hard nugget for me to like get through. Can't remember where exactly I was going with that.
Something with the Crusades.
Bible talk with the Bandit.
So you're trying to say the Crusades weren't justified by the Bible then?
I mean, maybe there's a good argument out there that I haven't heard.
I don't see where in the Bible it says we had to go back and
retake
the Holy Land. Other than the fact that that is where our religion comes from, and we want to hold like other than that, I don't see where in the Bible it needs to be like.
I get the secular view of it of like this is our history, it's mine, but not like I don't get the religious like Jesus said to do this. Like
I'm in the same boat.
If it Children's Crusade, just saying.
Got all these mouths to feed.
So, all right, enough with that talk. What's been big in the news besides Israel and Palestine? Because I'm going to dig into that with a shovel.
Palestine and Israel.
All right, that is putting a new spin on it. We are still speakerless as far as our House of Representatives go.
Gun to your head, who do you pick if you had to pick somebody?
Damn it, is John Fetterman a senator?
Yes.
Nah, I can't pick him. He'd be my pick.
Just because he's too stupid?
Yeah. It's either, as is now, having no speaker. I think that's the best.
I think they're going to fumble the ball and a Democrat will get it.
Sure. I hope so. I literally want whoever is the dumbest excuse of a human ever to have that position.
Oh, so Cortez.
Sure. Wait, Cortez? Like, Hernando? No.
Yeah, no, but she can't do it anyways.
Oh, AOC. Yeah. I don't know. I still don't trust Matt Gaetz. Very punchable face. One of the most punchable faces I've ever.
Eyebrows.
Something-
Like his eyebrows and his hair.
And
like
his
forehead.
jaw, and like he looks like a cigarette salesman from the 50s. He looks like he could be a bad guy in Mad Men, and I never saw Mad Men, but
I got a comparison in my head, but I'm not.
you can't find it.
I can't do the names. He looks like a young version of another actor that's kind of an asshole in a lot of roles, but I can't. He's kind of got a fatter face with a fat nose, but I can't remember who he is. I can't remember the names to Google it, but I'll.
Anyways, I will say this: like, I don't trust him, but I think it's a good thing he got this guy out as Speaker of the House. Do I trust whenever I think about trusting the Republicans or the Democrats to do the right thing, I always try to remember the like 3 or 4 of them I know about from each party that are decent people that seem like, for if you're on the conservative side, it's like Rand Paul, Thomas Massey, 2 or 3 others that are like okay and kind of represent your views. And then there's like 250 other ones that don't.
Yeah.
And on the Democrats, I'm not even big on RFK. I like some of the stuff he's saying, but it's like for every one of him, there's 100 that are just horrible.
Well, one thing, like I said, I don't really have a whole lot against Jim Jordan. I mean, you might not be a fan. I haven't seen any like super negative on him. The one thing that gripes me is the fact that the majority of the U.S. population or Republican population is screaming for Jim Jordan to be the speaker, and the people that they're supposed to be there for them are just blatantly not listening and like trying to put all these other randoms in. Like it's just, and they're doing behind closed door meetings, and it's basically who's going to follow.
I can't cite my sources on this. My problem with Jim Jordan has been, I don't know if it's in particular anything I've heard him say.
He is from Ohio. Yeah, that's like my one something. Yeah.
Don't like that. But like, it's the stuff I've heard him not say. And what I mean by that, I can't pinpoint the argument, but I know I've heard him say something along the lines of like, he's one of these Republicans that would call themselves a constitutionalist, right?
Yeah.
And like during COVID, I'll say this, he went to the bat and
My God, he's still alive. Ron Paul. Can we start a campaign, Ron Paul for speaker? Even though she's old and feeble, like just that's
dude, he still rides his bike like 9 miles a day.
That's what I'm saying. Just old, feeble Ron Paul that's going to still just be super stubborn, but not get anything done.
Make him the God Emperor. Hook him up to a machine and keep him alive. No, because then...
Can you imagine just his voice like commanding like thunder? No!
That was... Free bananas. Go watch up Bad Lip reading Ron Paul. You'll die. It's great. Here'd be the problem with Ron Paul. As much as he is like the dream of that happening, him not getting elected to anything and getting cheated out of everything, not at first, but that is like slowly the reason I've like come to discover that this just needs to go. There's no saving it. There's not this federal government, but like I want whoever becomes Speaker of the House to be so distasteful and so distrustful to so many Americans, they stop listening to Washington.
I think that's kind of already
It's
happening.
starting.
What do you think about the the convention of states? Do you think that would have, if they could actually get it going, would ever be able to do anything? Or
I don't think they will. I think it's a great idea. If you heard me a year ago, I think I was saying something like make who the hell's our governor? He just slipped my mind. Tall cowboy boots. Yeah, DeSantis. Make him like Prime Minister of Florida or whatever. But it's like none of these guys have the nuts to go against their political donors.
The problem is, it's not even that. If they're not bought, they don't even ever get close to like a higher position.
They're not going to be on the TV.
Step. Like, you're like at your county levels and your lower levels, there are a lot of great free thinker, standalone people.
Also a lot of crooks.
Yeah.
Mostly crooks.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But your crooks are the only ones that go to the next level.
When I worked at my government job, and like God bless them, the nicest people I knew there were the bottom level,
Yep.
And they were like the county affiliates, and they were like, well, I'm trying to help a farmer, and we just got to follow these rules, and we'll help you out, by golly. And it's like the ones that advance are psychopathic, lying, manipulative ass kissers, and it's like I really hope. I don't think it's going to come from anything the Constitution said, sadly. I wish it would. Constitutionalists, my boys, my patriot boys, I'm with y'all. I would like for that to happen.
Yeah.
But I do not see any mechanism to accomplish that. I don't see
You don't
24 governors getting together and going, hey, even though we all get donations from BlackRock and Israel and all these apparati that depend on us staying connected to Washington, we're going to defy all of our donors and do the right thing and meet and discuss how we're going to break away from the federal government. That ain't going to happen. What I believe is more likely is for a group, it might be a neighborhood, it might be a portion of a state, it might be a whole state. I don't know if my hopes are that, but they're going to go Amish, and they're just going to go, we're not listening. We're done.
I really want it to be Florida, but I got this gut feeling it's going to be New Hampshire.
Oh, it might be. I don't know, dude. New Hampshire did some weird stuff. The big organization, get a little bit into the deep fringe politics. Sorry, everybody. So if y'all have been paying attention to me, I pay a lot of attention to the state of New Hampshire when it comes to libertarian things, because they are like very much like, screw off, die. You will take our machine guns over our cold, dead bodies. Like they are very brazen with a lot of the stuff they say. And
on a positive note, the judges in California ruled the assault gun ban in California unconstitutional.
That's good. But like true. That's a good thing. Was it the Supreme Court or was it the state?
I think it's a state federal judge.
Good for that. And every now and then the courts do something that surprised me that I would have bet that they wouldn't have done. But there's a part of me that wonders, I think it was Dave Smith that was talking about it. Like they passed gun control in a place like Australia, right? And after that, like you look at what they did throughout the COVID lockdowns, like
they lost the war to the emus.
They did lose the war to the emus before they took their guns in the government's defense. And I have my problems with modern conservative America. Like a whole lot of my autism chunks could go off the scales on like my criticisms of it. But I really think there is something to, you just can't tell even these rednecks that you're like, we ought to die for Israel because they're our brother in the Middle East and our da-da-da. Like that dumb hayseed hick that's just repeating all the Fox News talking points. You ain't taking his gun.
Yeah.
Like you're going to be able to manipulate him in a lot of different ways. Good luck taking all these truckers, these ghetto guys, these...
We're all broke. A lot of them are broke now, too, and don't have a lot to live for.
No. It's getting hairier and hairier out there. But there's something very special to America of that culture of over my damn dead body. Yeah. And I'm hoping... so back to Jim Jordan. Some of the things, and I'm not saying he said exactly this, but I've heard him make arguments where I'm like, you're leaving important parts out of this. Like it's something along the lines of, and this might have not even been the subject, but it's like these conservative representatives or senators who like start quoting the Constitution or start quoting stuff, and they're like my favorite example is when you hear one of them say something along the lines of, if only our founders would have just been more clear with the Second Amendment. And it's like, oh, you son of a bitch, they were very clear. It's not just that part, Mr. Constitutional Lawyer.
Yeah.
There's the Federalist and Anti-Federalist Papers. There's all these quotes that
the fact that they shot the previous government.
Yeah, like, and they lay out why, and they lay out like, hey, don't let the federal government do nothing unless you got a gun to their head and you're watching their every move. It's like, anytime these constitutional conservatives leave that part out of that argument, I'm like, you're a psyop. You're here as like a sheep herder to get the group like away from the main, like that infuriates me more than any communist or socialist or liberal. I'm like, you're manipulating my people.
Yeah.
And I hate you more. So like Jim Jordan, and he might not have been talking about the Second Amendment, and he was great on some COVID stuff, but I'm like, you're leaving out stuff like that.
Yeah.
I can hear it in you.
I just know he poses. He seems to butt heads with a lot of the other Republicans. So
What does he butt heads about?
usually the spending.
Okay.
So I'll give him, like, if nothing else, he gets somebody there just to pump the brakes on throwing money away.
I'll tell you what.
There's no fixing it, but you can at least pump the brakes. Is how I'm looking at it.
You know what, man? In our lifetime, no one has so much as let the gas off the accelerator, let alone pumped the brakes. Like they keep mashing the accelerator down. All right, Trump, in Trump's slight Trump defense, he didn't push down the accelerator as hard as everybody else. Before COVID, he outspent everybody. So then COVID hit, and he smashed the accelerator down on spending, and no one has even attempted to touch the brakes in our lifetime. And we get news.
All I know is that we're literally we're living through nothing but like what's going to be in history books.
Yeah.
Like it's the equivalent of like, I think the only other generation that had it worse was like the ones born like right in the early 1900s.
Yeah.
They basically did the same thing we're going through now.
I don't know. There's been tons of people that have had it a lot worse throughout history.
I meant for like an American.
Okay, true.
Like because they got the World Wars. They did have the Great Depression. They've got. I mean, we haven't had the World Wars, but we've had the pandemic. They had the Spanish flu pandemic.
Yeah.
The same thing.
And on the note of yes, it's want to know how bad it's going to get, but it's going to get bad.
No, it's going to get worse.
And who knows? Maybe they can bail them out and keep the ball. You know, the best analogy I think I've ever heard of the economy is from Keith Knight. Go ahead.
The old people in charge are going to keep it going just long enough for them to die.
Yeah. Oh,
and
yeah.
Then it's our problem.
The American economy is like a dead carcass that all these buzzards are coming up to, and they're going, "I'm gonna get as much out of this meat as I can before it totally rots and fly away, because then my belly will be full." But shit, I was about to go somewhere important with that. The best analogy I've ever heard about the economy ever since the Progressive era, which is the early 1900s, late 1800s. That was when we really started getting this idea of we can make money, literally make new money and spend that. And that way we don't have to pass a new tax. And they thought it was a smart way to get around now we can afford things that we don't have to tax the populace for, so they don't feel the hurt and we can still buy things. And it's immediately after that, World War I.
Yeah.
We can spend so much money, we spend billions making new cannons and new bullets and new, the scale of it went so insane. If we would have been taxed for World War I, you have to pay directly for what we're about to spend money on, the U.S. public wouldn't have ever gotten involved.
Yeah.
They'd be like, no, we can't afford it. Literally, it's too much. We would all be broke.
But then the Lusitania went down.
Conveniently.
Yeah.
So, back to what I was saying about conservatives that are these sheep's and wolves clothing. Other way around, wolves and sheep clothing. Hey, episode title. But, the past 5 years, I walk by Fox News. I still live with my mother, although some news happened, and I'm about to get my own house. I'm so freaking excited about that. Finally, 33, about time. Come on, housing market. Crash, baby, crash. But the past 5 or 6 years, I've walked by Fox News, and I've heard some of these conservatives, these talking heads, speaking. And even on some of my YouTube and some of my podcasts, the less extreme conservatives have been saying some things that really tickled my fancy. It's really been appealing to me. They're like, hey, I might have been pro-Iraq war back in the day, but I really saw the light and I've come around and, we don't need this government doing crazy things. Maybe they were right. Maybe the Patriot Act will be used against us. And I've been like, hey, maybe these people are kind of seeing the light. Maybe they're kind of waking up to how bad all this really is. And then Israel and Palestine happened.
It's just made everybody stupid.
Nah, I don't know.
Or it's just showing how dumb everybody really is.
I think it's showing how greedy they really are. Don't get me wrong.
I want to know how to make money off of it.
Yeah, there's the dumb ones. There's the true believers that are just dumb on both sides. It's
that Comedy Central show where the guy's like driving around and says, "I gotta figure out how to make money on this."
Well, don't believe me. Boeing and Raytheon sure have been
Should have
doing
bought
that.
Lockheed Martin stock.
Should have. It's rising. But it's like, I'm sure y'all have all heard enough about Israel and Gaza and the specifics of what's going on there. And I'm going to get into it a little bit, but that's not the main chunk of
That
it.
place is blowing up in the news.
Yeah, it's getting really big or really small, depending on the building you're talking about. But so in Israel a couple weeks ago, a terrorist attack with ninjas on parasails coming in with M4s. How'd they get them M4s?
Shocker.
American-made weapon. Surprising it ended up in their hands. But they flew in, they massacred like a music fest, and since then Israel's been going full tilt on Gaza and Palestine, and the Palestinians have been leading some resistance against them.
And then there's an insurrection that's been going on, and
Yeah, but I'll say this. I think it's as much of an insurrection as January 6th is, which...
that's what I said.
Yeah, which is not much of one. Like, it's a bunch of people showing up to the Capitol to protest, and some of them are being stupid.
Part of me wants to be like, throw them in jail because the same thing, but at the same time, I don't think the January 6ers should have been thrown in jail, so I don't think you should technically throw these people in jail.
You know the lectern guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had the best tweet, I thought. He goes, "I believe these people should be punished less than I was."
Yeah.
And I was like, which if y'all don't know, he's the guy that on January 6th, he was just some dumb drunk pothead that was there. It was like,
Florida man.
A Florida man. He is a Florida man from these neck of the woods. He's like, I'm going to grab a lectern and walk out with it. And went to jail.
I think he brought it, like, he didn't even steal it. He just, like, moved it to another part of the
They
building.
took a fit. And he's great. Most of his tweets have something to do with a politician standing in front of a lectern. And I'm like, you're great. You're based. But, so, yeah, you got lefties going wild, which... You know, to me, it's one of those things. It's almost like I'm not gonna get too much into it. It's so surprising to me that's like if you're left wing, you're Palestine, and if you're right wing, you're Israel. I'm like, couldn't like a socialist be pro-Israel?
Right.
Couldn't a hardcore conservative be like pro-Palestine, like for their own what? Why do we all have to get in these camps based on these other things we believe that aren't related to this subject?
Because they've got really old books.
Yeah, true. Okay, really old books.
I think the best analogy is the Family Guy skit where there's like the Middle East is all peaceful and then like some random guy comes out of he's like, "Hey, did you hear a baby was born in Bethlehem?" And then they all just instantly start stabbing each other.
It's almost like the Irish inventing alcohol.
Yeah.
Like they were all super geniuses before that. But like pick your opinion on. I'll give you my like slight bias. I know Israel, the state. I'm not talking about Jews. When I'm talking about Israel, the state, the government, the gang that runs this area. That's how I think of all governments. Really, it's the gang in charge.
Yeah, it's organized crime on the elite level.
Yeah, and I believe after World War II, Britain made some promises they couldn't keep. Rounded up a bunch of Jews, put them in there, put them in charge of stuff. Then made a state out of it, and
which, understandably, Palestine has a right to be pissed about.
Oh yeah, and that's like, and a lot of how like I've been listening to a lot of Ben Shapiro, been listening to a lot of Dave Smith correct Ben Shapiro, I've been like, what is y'all's like? Let me see if you're authentic, and they will tell you all these details about Israel, and including Sean Hannity and all these conservative talking heads about how. Well, Israel's just like the democracy of the Middle East, and we're trying to, it's like, you're purposefully leaving out a big chunk of history with this.
Yeah.
And if you, like, don't get me wrong, someone could be of the pro-Israeli state. If they include all the history that's happened, I'll be like, all right, you're like a reasonable person. Like, you're authentically trying to figure this out, and you have this belief that's different than mine. I can understand and acknowledge that. It's when you're cherry picking the history that I sit there and go like, you're being deceptive and you're trying to make me believe you're wanting me to come to a conclusion. You're trying to trick me into it.
Right.
And so
I personally there's no good answer.
No.
It's just a spider web.
One of the videos that changed, and like I keep this in mind. Like my natural bias growing up was pro-Israel. Since I've learned a lot more, I am more sympathetic to innocent people in Palestine Not the Hamas, not the, but like, these videos I've seen of kids
There's tons of people on both sides that are just...
Well, like, dude, I've seen, like, and I'm aware when I see these videos from, like, a Palestinian YouTube channel, like, it's their bias. Like, they're showing me, they're going to show me Israeli soldiers acting the worst they could possibly act. They're not going to show them giving out teddy bears and food supplies.
Right.
But, like, the ones I've seen, so I keep that in mind. It's almost like those screw the police videos you see. It's like, I know you're going to show me that this cop at his worst moment on the worst day. Like, so that I go from there. Like, dude, there's videos I've seen of, like, kids going to school with, like, their teacher in the IDF, the Israeli descent. Like, this is in Palestine. This ain't, like, on one side of the Israeli wall. It's on the outside. Israeli soldiers going up to them with, like, ARs and putting them in their faces and going, like, get against the fucking wall, you piece of shit. And I'm like, dude, if I was a kid going through that.
One of the farmers we worked for and flew for in Illinois, he went and to Israel and stuff, and he said it's really changes your mind, like what's going on. He's like, you do see how one-sided it is, and he went, to go tour Israel and the whole Jerusalem.
He saw it all,
and he's like, I see why Palestine's mad the way they are,
dude. I've seen videos. I've talked about it on here. It's like some Palestinian.
I'm not picking one side or the other. I'm just saying there's a lot of everything's painted one-sided.
And hang on. You say you're not on one side or the other, and they say the sides are the state of Israel and the state of Palestine. Those are the sides you have to pick or not pick. It's like, I'm on the side.
I'll say it. I've said it before. You either just stay the hell out of there or you glass the whole region because they're going to kill each other to the end of time. And it's terrible, but they're both religions say neither one can exist. So I don't know how at the core you.
Well, even then, I think like you can. Both religions say that exists.
That was too much. You shouldn't glass the whole region, but I'm just saying.
No, but even like there are parts of the religion that say neither one should exist, but there's also been faithful practitioners of that religion that are like, I've come to the understanding I don't need to kill humans. So the side I'm always on, no matter the country, no matter where it's at, the dude that is minding or woman who is minding their own shit and not trying to screw with other people. If they're Israeli or they're Jewish or they're or Palestinian or Chinese or whatever, the guy who's like, this is my property, I'm trying to manage it and make a living, please leave me alone.
Yeah.
I will always be on that guy's side because I understand, oh my God, do I understand that? And I understand if someone like takes that from you, like being filled with righteous anger.
Right.
So saying that, like the people that were born in Israel that are in a sticky spot, because like that is kind of their homeland. They were born there, like the Jews that were born in Israel. Like I understand they're like, I grew up on these streets. This is my home. But it's like, your granddaddy, not your granddaddy, but the troops that came here and made it okay for your granddaddy to live there, had to put a gun to somebody's head and say, get out of your home.
Yeah.
And it's like, at the end of the day, I'm like.
Well, that's also been happening for thousands of years in the same exact spot.
All over the world, that's been happening for thousands. Like, that's human nature.
So it's like I said, there is not a right answer.
What you just said is absolutely correct. There is not a right answer. But what we need to watch out for, and Dave Smith put it best.
This is where might makes right, and the winner goes the spoils. Is how I look at it. Everybody just stay the hell out. Let them get it over with.
There is something useful you can learn from this horrible conflict, and that's what what I said earlier about who's telling the whole truth. It's in these stress tests, you can smell who's really being honest and who isn't. Because, like, I'll tell you who someone, I don't think you know who he is, but he's pretty big on YouTube. He started Rumble. Dave Rubin. He used to work for the Young Turks and, like, MSNBC.
Okay.
And over the past 10 years, he went from that, he was, like, a gay socialist. And, like, he's still gay and, like, married to a dude. You can tell by talking to him. But he was pro-Trump. Like, that's how far he went. He's like, I'm just an American. I used to call myself a classical liberal. I guess I'm kind of a libertarian, but now I'm like a conservative libertarian. I'm pro-Trump and pro-life and da-da. And I'm like, all right, maybe. And he's like, he's one of these that were like, maybe you were right about the Patriot Act and it being used against us. And need to watch out. As soon as this Israel stuff happened, it's like, well, of course we have to defend Israel. Of course we have to trust our CIA intelligence about what is happening. And it's like, oh, you haven't met any of the shit you've said the past 10 years. This has been a big grift. The Sean Hannitys, the Ben Shapiros, that will they will tell you the history of the Israel-Palestine conflict, but they'll conveniently not mention, I don't know, the USS Liberty. Yeah. They'll conveniently not mention, oh, dude.
That Israel was just whipped into existence in the 1940s.
That God willed it.
Yeah.
And there was, what was the saying? A people without land for a land without people. But it's people were living there.
Israel has always been a nation. That's what everybody. So Israel has always been a nation, but they haven't actually had borders. Always, they've always kind of moved. At one point they were in Egypt.
Yeah, that's
so it's always it's kind of they've.
I'd almost say Israel's always been a culture.
Yeah, I say a nation. It's like a nation of just the people.
Because I feel like a nation has proper boundaries, generally agreed upon. And Israel's been loosey goosey all throughout time. I mean, so has everyone, but I mean, Jews really did a number of moving around.
But that's kind of how I mean it.
Yeah.
So no, there's just no. I feel like there's no right answer here. I feel like you want to take a side, whoever's not being the most evil. But I'm not calling either side. It's just, dude. There's just I got no right answer.
I'll tell you who I believe has shined through this conflict. As much as this conflict, I'm less talking about the conflict itself and who is right or wrong. I'm talking more about the media coverage of it. How can you read these people? And whereas I knew how Ben Shapiro was going to be. I knew how Dave Rubin kind of surprised me. There's a couple of others, but it's the people that have passed the stress test, Tucker Carlson.
Yeah, it's just effed up on both sides.
Yeah, and he just very blatantly is why should America send its money to get involved? Is Israel the 51st state? It's he really is why is this I'm against us sending the money to Ukraine as much as I'm against us sending money to Israel for this. And he almost went into who stands to benefit from this?
Yeah.
Oh,
it's
companies.
Not like one side is just murdering another. Both sides are murdering each other.
Yeah. And as much as I'll hear Hamas is murdering innocent people. It's agreed, and whoever murders an innocent person should be set on fire. It's but Israel has a history of.
Israel didn't just retaliate back.
No.
On Hamas. They're just bombing everything.
Even beforehand, I think they killed 57 Palestinian children in the last year before this.
Like I said,
and you killed my kid? Oh, game on, dude.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know. It's just a whole bag of worms over there. I
was listening to Dave Smith's excellent interview of Glenn Greenwald. And if y'all know who Glenn Greenwald is, he's another Julian Assange. He had to move to Brazil. I don't know if he had to move to Brazil, but he moved to Brazil to get away from American intelligence. He's exposed a ton of stuff. And he's a lefty, but he's a lefty you can talk to. And dude, one of the things he said that melted my mind, and so if you are a U.S. corporation that has a contract with the federal government or I believe any of the state governments, you have to sign a bunch of waivers on how you're a good American and how you won't commit treason and how you won't da-da-da-da-da. One of the waivers you have to sign is that you will never boycott Israel. And Glenn Greenwald put this into perspective. He goes, let me lay this out. He goes, whenever Oklahoma said we ain't allowing trans in bathrooms, the state of New York boycotted the state of Oklahoma. The governor was no things from Oklahoma will be sold to our... So you're allowed to boycott another U.S. state.
But not Israel.
You are, and dude, there are...
That's not kosher.
Dude, there are things, and I'll let them out in the next podcast. I didn't really get prepared for them. The more you dig into weird laws that apply to Israel from the United States, and they also happen to be the largest lobbying group in America. They give the most money to the United States federal government. And once you start connecting dots like that, and I know it's been an hour. We're going a little bit longer. I'm about to wrap it up. But with Israel, the state of it, I'll leave it on this last note. I can wrap my mind, for the most part, from what I know, about the goals of the U.S. federal government. like the goal is to like gain more control, get more revenue, acquire more power of empire throughout the world by those old-fashioned means and with some new technology, right?
Right.
I can wrap my mind around that. I can wrap my mind around State Department or federal departments like the FBI or the CIA or the Department of Education. Their goals are like get a bigger budget, get more money in my pocket. Like the people that work there, I want more money in my pocket, more influence, more power, more control. I can wrap my head around a lot of that stuff. I cannot wrap my head around what the hell the state of Israel wants. The people at the top, and like the Benjamin Netanyahus and the ones we don't know the names of. It's like, why are you doing this way? Why are you, another good example, why are you selling all this HRT care and stuff? Which, like, if you want to do that, whatever you're fancy, this is America, go be yourself. But it's like, you're the only one selling it to the United States, and you've outlawed the sales of this within your border because you're a bunch of, like, conservatives. It's like, well, what are you getting at? What are you fucking around with? I can't, and that's the thing. I don't understand.
Right.
My conspiracies run wild because I'm like, I can't, everything they're doing doesn't make a lot of sense against itself. So it's like, what's your end goal? Which, might just, it could be something as simple as what it's always been with states and men of power. I want more power. I want more control. Could be that simple. We could go into dog-headed people territory, and I get wild on it. That's what it's hard to tell where one ends and the other begins.
You managed to squeeze it in.
Yeah! But that's that. So the main thing from the state of Israel and like Gaza, and I'll leave it at that, be wary of who you're listening to and how much of the truth they're trying to tell you. And that's the good news on that. The best news about it, I am seeing more right-wingers and conservatives in my life having a light bulb. Like, this was the big stress test of, like, I don't think what you're telling me is all true.
Yeah.
And that's good news for us going Amish.
I'm not going Amish, but
I'm not, but just stop listening to that.
I can't grow a beard.
Me neither. Yeah, we're cursed with that. I can grow, like, shitty Joe Dirt facial hair. But anyways, guys, that's it. Follow us on Twitter. I'm still pumping stuff out. Merce is managing the Instagram. No, keep listening. We'll be back in a couple of weeks or 3 weeks or a month or something. Whenever Merce finds time in his schedule.
If the world doesn't catch on fire before then.
Now, I might have a world war by then between China, Russia, and Israel.
Only got 6 more months till I'm 35 and can't be drafted.
Yeah! Really? 35?
Yeah.
All right, I can dodge the law for 2 years. All right, guys, take care.